This will probably be a long video, and this will be about the debunking of or exposure of Archewell and its connections to the Crown and to intelligence agencies in the UK. So, meaning the monarchy knows all about Archewell, and this was after the announcement of them becoming non-working royals, of course. Archewell was registered in the UK April 7th, 2020. So this was even after their last royal event, you know, when they were crying and all that absolute bullshit. There's a current narrative that's been pushed that's not real. It's the separation of Nut and Todge. They're doing this because of research like mine, credible research that is exposing the lies of the monarchy and the British royal family. That's why they're doing it. They're pulling him back in. He already lives in Windsor. There's no doubt that he probably never left. And Nut is just a contracted fake wife. So there's no karma coming for Nut. She's getting a good payout. She's been getting a good payout since, from what it looks like, from the establishment of Frim Fram Company in 2011, since 2011. So she's not going without. She's not going to get karma to her. And I think the best thing you need to do is be angry and ask for answers, for real answers, and not this bullshit narrative like you're going to get some sort of justice through nut shoveling shit in America. Please, that's not going to ever fucking happen. So there was a Twitter post by a friend on obviously on Twitter, and they were talking about how karma's going to get Nut in, I don't know, get it right in their ass or something, I don't know. And I put a post saying there's no Megxit. Well, Megxit wasn't by Nut, wasn't orchestrated by Nut. This political and intelligence interference in America isn't orchestrated by Nut. You need the security clearance that only a monarchy would be able to provide, which is all under Prince Harry, under whatever duties and roles and privileges he has in the US, which is unlimited, because he's the son of a king and he's a working royal. And he's been able to do that through Aspen and CIA and whatever have you, because he has access to all the intelligence agencies across the Five Eyes. It's that simple. And Nut is sharing the load of liability by pushing policy alongside him, so it looks like it's all about her political identity. It's this entire deflection of her being the issue, her being the reason, her being the cause, when it never really was. It was just all a fabrication to make it look legitimate. And so the political interference and intelligence interference can only happen through Todge's access and resources and privileges, not through Nut. So that's definitely not happening on her books, even though she's with, hanging out with Gloria Steinem and Linda Ellersby, or Allaby, whatever the fuck her name is. All of those intelligence operatives. That's all a part of the show. That's always been a part of the show. They weren't friends with her when she was starting out in Suits. So, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the show, really. So we're going to go through the debunking of this Archewell company, which links back to British intelligence agencies under the Crown. And I'll try to be as concise as possible because it's a long one, and then I'll show you the evidence that has been provided to me, not necessarily myself. I've just joined the dots, and I've looked into companies myself, and always made sure that the evidence was true and correct in every respect. So I'll show you the posts and the stuff in case it gets put down. I don't know how they may be able to change the filings on the company registrations in the UK, but that would probably be as much as they can do at this point. So let's start. A meeting with senior members of the British royal family confirmed on February the 21st, 2020, that the duo would not use Sussex Royal as a brand name after they stepped down as working royals at the end of March 2020. Now, I don't know if that particularly makes sense, but you know what I'm saying. So by February the 21st, 2020, basically it was the beginnings of Archewell. They had already announced January the 8th when they were stepping down, but they weren't stepping down, they were just part-time royals working across the UK and North America, if you remember. So they weren't actually stepping down, they were working royals, it was just part-time. And then everyone kicked up a stink and they changed things, but only by matter of PR, not by actual reality and official use. I mean, and I'll explain that to you in a moment. And so then by February the 21st, because they mustn't have anything to do with the royals after they finish their March 2020 royal events or their patronages, that they can't use the word royal in any of their commercial dealings. And so that was supposedly the reason for Archewell. But I've already explained to you in a prior video that Archewell was developed by a team, no doubt from the palace, a bunch of advisors and people developing Archewell themselves rather than the couple, because let's face it, they had the brain size of a pea. I can't believe I did ever say that they were intelligent or capable of many, many things. They're capable of many, many things because of their resources and their advisors. Yeah, so that's that. 6 days later, after the 21st, on the 27th of February, as still publicly official working royals, through Richard Janau, I don't know his name, an entertainment lawyer. I don't know if an entertainment lawyer registers Delaware companies. I really don't. I know they do business dealings in the entertainment industry. I don't know if they do company registrations and they know about tax and everything else. That's interesting, and something I probably should look into. A Delaware company was created in order for the Commonwealth ambassadors to commence business activity in a hidden legal fashion. This company was Cobblestone Lane LLC, and it was created as a mock company or shell company to trademark Archewell with IP law from Venable LLP to Serco, because Serco is the outsource company that processes all trademark applications at the US Trademark Office, a British company under Churchill's relative. Yeah, it's just crazy. And Churchill, as you know, was a member of the Pilgrim Society when it was founded in 1902, and Pilgrim Society created many things like Chatham House and the Federal Reserve and Council of Foreign Relations, and it moved on from there in terms of WEF, WHO, UN. So Serco, who would process it before the registration of the company Archewell occurred. So this was still meant to look like Archewell was going to happen after they finished all their royal events in March 2020. So they held that off. They held the registration of the company, or the Shell charity, or the Shell Foundation, whatever the fuck it is. They held that off until April the 7th. But what they did is they created a shell company to be able to start the trademark application process. And they started that in US, so then they could, by April the 7th, prioritize the processed in the UK under international IP law. So they used the trademark application, which had yet to be approved, of the US trademark. That was the application was put through on March the 3rd, 5 days after they created the shell company Cobblestone Lane, which was used to as a company that was going to use the trademark Archewell. They used that trademark application and that number to then be able to prioritise the trademark by April the 7th in the UK for Archewell. I don't know why you would need to use Archewell in the UK if you weren't doing commercial dealings there. Now let's have a look. Registration of the company Archewell occurred as it was meant to be after March that they commenced their lives as non-working royals, and meaning they were meant to only start the commercially independent, the royally independent foundation Archewell after they stopped working as royals, which was as per PR. And as you can see by pen and paper, it wasn't exactly what was happening, was it? They just created shell companies in Delaware to be able to pull this off. And it's not Nutt and Todd who are pulling Delaware company registrations off and trademark applications. These laws, IP law, intellectual property law, is highly complex and very, very expensive, especially when you're doing international intellectual property, so across two countries and so forth, using an American trademark over into the UK. You need two law firms to be involved, one in UK and one in US, but it's highly lucrative business or legal services, and very, very complicated, as each class adds to the complexity. And if you see the trademark application of Archewell, there's numbers upon numbers and numbers of classes under the trademark. So it's not a very simple application at all. Let's have a look here where I'm up to. This company, Cobblestone LLC, was created as... Oh, yeah, I've done that. Yep. Cobblestone, same address as everything else, 5th floor, Wilshire Boulevard. Same address as Frimfram Inc. that trademarked the TIG on September 10th, 2014. That was started up in 2011. And I do suspect, in my own opinion, my humble opinion, that Frimfram was used as the first kind of, to gain the first sort of contractual earnings of Nutt around 2011, because that kind of matches up with when she started to have her identity built, when she went on Suits, when she was launched into the public sphere. Before that, she was pretty much nothing and no one. Still is, just under a different identity. Moved to and the Frimfram company that was established in California, 2011, moved to a Delaware company by the same Rick Janau, whatever, however you pronounce it, on 30th of December 2019. So while they were working royals, while they were supposedly living in Canada, they had their lawyer, or I wouldn't say they, because I don't think they were communicating with Richard. I don't know if really Richard is a real person. Also, it could be somebody like a shell kind of person or intelligence, to look like it is this legitimate agency processing these applications. But I know that he's also put through registrations for other celebrities and stuff like that, so he possibly could be. I really don't know at this point. But by 30th of December 2019, while they were in Canada, he moved Frimfram to a US Delaware company. So they had other reasons for it still to continue. And it was nothing to do with wanting privacy. And this was also before they even had supposedly Megxit talks and the Sandringham Summit. And in January 2020, so January, I think it was 28th, Frimfram Limited was registered in the UK. So it moved over to the UK while they're in Canada. Oh, actually, yeah, while they're in Canada, and this is after they told everyone that they're, through Sussex Royal, that they're going to be part-time working royals in North America and UK. So they weren't really, oh, Paris just flew past. They weren't really, well, I guess they were meant to be working in UK as well. But this is Nuts Company, Frimfram. It's under her name. So the fact that it was established in UK by 20th of January is questionable. The same day that a guy in Mauritius becomes the director of Frimfram, January the 28th, in UK, he also becomes a director and registers a company by the name of Sussex, sorry, that's meant to say director of Sussex Regal Limited, REGAL. Remember, they're not meant to be using Royal, although that was meant to be a February 21st conversation. By January the 28th, they're no longer using Royal, they're using Regal. So you can tell already that this has been a setup, and this has just been PR deliverance through the Palace Communications on when should be the right time as to execute this strategy. Finally, Sussex Regal was still A-OK with the British royal family, and it dissolved on 3rd of August 2021. So this company, Sussex Regal Limited, only dissolved 3rd of August 2021. So just before the fake miscarriage. Just after the fake miscarriage. No, just before she conceived supposedly Fiblet. Which was only a few days afterward. They must have been pretty excited that they dissolved that company. Oh no, 21st, 2021? No, that was 2020, wasn't it? 2021, August 2021. Oh, that was after the birth of Fiblet. Yeah, I don't think they even came out in the public by that stage. Sorry about that. All right, so let's continue. Just excuse all the galahs and birds. It's Australia. Hastings is enjoying himself. So this guy is Jonathan L.M. Shaw of Corporate and Chancery Group Limited in Mauritius, which is a tax haven. All permitted, of course, by the monarchy after Megxit, January the 8th, 2020. 20 days later, in fact. So obviously, I mean, the monarchy would know about this. The monarchy would have permitted this. It's not rocket science. You don't have to tell me they were blinded or blindsided. This wouldn't happen. So this is a UK company registration under the Crown. The Crown owns things like all the birth registries and so forth. So I'm not sure. I hope you're getting it. Like they own everything and they see everything. So the monarchy would most definitely know of this situation happening and all the situations happening in regards to any company registrations. That's why they would have a discussion about using Royal, and they would make it very clear, which would have been in agreement anyway, and they would have nothing to do with any registrations of companies. So they'd probably be this is just PR. But anyway, let's move on. Five days later, on March the 3rd, Cobblestone and Venable applied for the trademark of Archewell in the US. So that was March the 3rd, like I said before. So on paper, by 27th of February, actually by 28th of January, and even then, by 30th of December 2019, while the duo were happily living in, well, Canada. Yeah, they were living in Canada by December, weren't they? Yep. Supposedly, but we know that's not true either. There were lawyers in UK, Mauritius, and US, not in Canada, assisting company registrations. So they miraculously knew that they were going to move to the US. Can you believe that? I know, mind blown. Assisting company registrations and IP before they step back from royal life. I should mention that Richard also registered Doria's foreign stock entity company in California at the same address as his so-called firm, and that of Archewell and that of Frimfram, by October the 22nd, 2019. So that would have been just before, while they were living in Frogmore, while they were still working royals. Still living in the UK. By April the 6th, 2020, so a day before Archewell was registered and all the trademarks were, their applications were put through in the UK, but Archewell was registered both as a company in the US and UK. Doria's company becomes a Delaware company, is registered as one through Richard Janelle. So Richard was just putting through all these companies, and they said, can you do Doria's as well? Whoever these people and this team is. April 7th, Archewell is registered as a company by Richard in US, and it is registered in UK by a Keith Kamau, K-A-M for Mary, A-U. The Archewell trademark application is put through the same day in the UK by Kilburn and Strode LLP, which is an IP law firm in the UK in London, under international IP law, prioritising the British trademark under the American one that had yet to be approved for publication, number 888-18790. If you know international property law, that is a very expensive situation to be in. As I said before, it's very, very complex. Archewell has the same internet service provider autonomous system name as Celebici, with DigitalOcean LLC. So there's a Twitter account, and I think they're on YouTube as well, called Lil Barco Lil, British, very good researcher into the whole shell company matrix of the UK that connects to politicians and intelligence agencies. And that's where a lot of my research has been looked into, their work and their team and their work, and also Paul Michael's work, which is another Twitter account that I just want to give thanks to. The thing is, Keith Kamau, who registered the business Archewell in UK, was representing at the time Online Findings Limited at Studio 210 of 134 to 146 Curtin Road. Same address for Carol Raymond Limited, and Barbara Kahan was the director of that company for one day in 2013. Now I want you to really remember the name Barbara Kahan. Barbara Kahan died in 2000, so she wouldn't have been able to have registered a company in 2013. And yet by 2019, she was the founding director of 25,802 companies in the UK. Barbara's a part of a scheme, well, unknowingly, a part of a situation that seems to involve possibly money laundering, in my opinion, as per findings or work that's not my own. that is on social media. She is also involved, Barbara Kahan, in the original Sussex Royal MWX Foundation registration and travel list, including operations with Omid Scobie, supposedly. I do not know this, I've been told this, but I wouldn't be surprised from what I found. Dead Barbara, RIP, was also a founding director of A1 Company Services Limited, the agency that put through the application of the independent British security firms UK company. So the British security firm that supposedly Todger's Met police officer that specialises in royal protections and royal security, Dave Langdown, who was awarded an MVO by the Queen before she passed. Remember how he supposedly retired, and when all this security issue happened through Megxit didn't happen, and the security situation didn't happen, it's just a cover-up. He moved to an independent American security firm that would protect Todge, and they were paying all those bills, remember? Yeah, wink wink. All those bills and all those costs. Well, that security firm is British. It's British, registered in the UK, and it was registered initially in 2010 by Barbara Kahan's firm A1 Company. Remember, Barbara's dead. Barbara's been dead for 10 years. So it wasn't Barbara. And A1 is a shell company that acts as an agent, as is Online Findings, acts as an agent to register these companies in the UK. So the A1 Company Services Limited, the agency that put through the application of the independent British security firm, their registration in the UK, September the 9th, 2010, that operates in America and protects the duo, the one Dave Langdown, the Royal Met officer who was honoured by Her Majesty the Queen, works for as director. But bear in mind, he's not listed as a registered officer under that company. So, yeah. Without being listed as one, of course. Obviously, no relation to the monarchy, intelligence agencies, etc., etc., used for money laundering purposes. Nah, not possible. There's work that Lil Barco Lil has done connecting that matrix that I've seen, that I've put an image below that I will show you. But it's, it's a big matrix that somebody else has done the work for, and I commend them for it and I credit them. So if you're wanting to look into that, by all means, please follow Lil Barco Lil, which is in that tag in this post, their work, and I'll put through some posts under this video shortly. I think I have just debunked Archewell and its British connections that involved agencies of the Crown under direction of the monarchy, and they would have certainly known about it. With the help of brilliant researchers, you're welcome. Yes, I think sometimes, look, I sound very arrogant, but when you do that sort of research and you finally finish that, it's almost like, it's not a fuck you to you, and it's not an arrogance like I'm being, I think I'm better than everyone or anything like that. It's just being so relieved that it's finally, I've been wanting to put this out. I finally put in all that work and it's finally released, and it's just a nice relief, and it feels like, in a way, I reward myself by being an absolute dickhead, so don't mind that. Props to Lil Barco Lil, as I said, and Pawn Michaels on Twitter or X. Pick credit to Lil Barco Lil. So I'm going to show you some pictures here. So this is just one of the images. You will see here that Archewell Limited, when they filed in their first company filing application or company registration documents that you can download, the agency that filed the registration was Online Findings Ltd, and Online Findings Ltd is connected to Carol Raymond Limited. It's the same address, and then through that company, Barbara Kahan is an officer or director, was a director of that company. So it wasn't directly through Online Findings, it was through another company, Carol Raymond Limited. So there's a matrix, and it's complicated, quite complex and detailed, and I suggest you looking at Lil Barcode Lil's work for that, to figure that out, because it takes patience and some reading. Kahan, she lived from 1920 to 2000. This is the security firm I am talking about. They deal with celebrities and high wealth people, and their security, an intelligence security firm, I think they say it is. That's Dave Langdown. You would have seen him in everything, in every event that's happened. He never really left, supposedly retired to help out some politicians, but there's no images of him serving those politicians, so I don't think it ever really happened. That's my own opinion. And he never really retired. And this is the matrix that, this is not my work, this is Lil Barcode Lil's work. You will see Barbara in the middle, and you will see the agencies involved here. But I will also send you a link to that. I'm going to go through all these posts that I have up here, or saved, of all of this information, but I think it's going to take a little more time, and it'll be a little too fragmented. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the links in under the video. I think that's pretty important, so then you can find yourself this information and be able to see it yourself. I hope that's okay. But it's mainly the works of Lil Barcode Lil, and there would be some works of myself put in there that connects the dots, especially in terms of that, in regards to that security firm, and Paul Michaels, and I completely credit their work. That is not my own. I just connect the dots mostly. So yeah, especially credit to Lil Barcode Lil. They have done amazing work. They connect addresses. They know every little knick-knack there is of shell companies and kind of like intelligence operations that are under